financial literacy program. Tonight's program is called Budgeting During a Crisis. And we're going to invite Rose Gill. She is,
A
again,
cluster market leader.
the cluster market leader for Truist Bank. And we are so excited. We had wonderful information at our last session. So we're getting ready to turn it over to Rose and enjoy and make sure you take plenty of notes. Go ahead, Rose.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Rose Gilb, and I am a branch leader, cluster branch leader, which means I have two branches in Covington, Kentucky. And I enjoy coming out in the community and sharing financial wellness knowledge. So hopefully someone doesn't struggle. And if you are struggling, let's help you get past it. One of the things that we believe in Truist, our purpose is to inspire and build better lives in our communities. So when we're helping to come out here and to just make sure everybody's financially okay. And if you have any questions, we want to help you through those struggles. We talk about our clients and our mission and our values. And we want to make sure that we're taking care, like I said, of our clients and our community. The programs that we offer, this is called Bank on Your Success. So the first one we had was budgeting, family budgeting. This one we kind of came up with a year ago, and it's called Budgeting Through a Crisis. So as you know, we were in a crisis last year, actually it was for almost over a year. And people had to learn how to adjust. People weren't able to go into places. They had to learn how to financially figure things out. So BB&T, now Truist, decided to come up with this class to help people just to kind of, there might be some of the things that are on here might be obvious to you. You might be saying, yeah, I can do that. So we want to make sure that we're at least sharing that. And sometimes when we bring it forward, it makes you think about it. And then this, like I said, this is a special edition of Banking on Your Success. We encourage you to use the resources and the research that we've done. There's some things on the back, and I know I've given them a copy of this. So the resources that are online and everything, we can send you a copy of that if you'd like. So first thing we do, and last week we learned, why a budget? Why a budget? What's creating a budget, a crisis budget? We're going to identify expenses. We're going to identify income. And then we're going to look into some cost-cutting mechanisms, and then creative income creation. That's the part I like. I think it's kind of an interesting piece. And then last but not least, just resources to help you. And then we're going to look to the future, because this is going to end one day. But what's going to help is we're going to figure out, hey, if something else comes down the road, you're going to have the tools. You can adjust. Everything's, it's not a steady, straight path. So I like to go that way. So there's always a need for planning, even in the event of a crisis. Budgeting in and out of a crisis allows you to have a clear understanding of the financial picture, and it makes you have informed decisions. It's our hope that the budgeting principles that you learn you'll continue on for other things. Like I said last week, I don't know how many people were here. I think all of you were pretty much here. If you went through the budgeting plan that we had, I'll help you. Like I said, that you can adjust that. We suggest at least 3 months worth of learning how to budget. So you set your budget the first month. Here's what I'm spending money on, and then you can go back and adjust. Okay, so that's kind of what I felt like we kind of took away from last week. So we're going to create a crisis budget. So what we would need to look at is we're looking at expenses going out. So when you did your budget, we had expenses going down, and this is where you're going to look at everything on your budget sheet. And I brought some extra books here, or I can also send a budgeting sheet to them so they can send it to whoever is interested and want it, so you can continue doing it. And then you look at the money coming in. So you determine the need to survive, and then all you can do is find enough money to come over the necessities that you have, so you can find money. So step one is identify your expenses. That's the money going out. So when we did the budgeting, sheet, it kind of went over what you must have. So we talk about what we have and what we need and what we want last week. So this is like the must have. The total that you must have is fixed. So you know weekly, monthly, and yearly what you pay. Expense cost requires something, you know, the money that's spent for something, and you must, it's things you need: housing, health insurance, life insurance, car insurance. And then they have other ones where you can list it. Then you also have the must-haves: the electricity, the groceries, the gas for the car, childcare, and then the necessity for clothes. It always gives you another slot because everybody's situation's different. So you might have something different than somebody else has. Then you talk about your payments. So your auto deduction, your student loans, your credit card. And then, I love this one, sanity expenditures. So these are things that, like, you know, how many of us were stuck in you worked from home, or you couldn't get to go places. I mean, you weren't allowed to go into places. So we just want to make sure that, you know, you kind of needed something to kind of keep your mind busy. So I think that kind of came about in the budget, that, you know, out of necessity, because people were kind of losing their minds a little bit, I think. So the total expenses is your total must-have expenses, the total must-have variable expenses, your debit payments, and then your total sanity expenses. So we've broken it down even further. So this will make sense like later on when we're talking, because this is going to be kind of where you're going to look. If you have to make some adjustments, you're going to look here to find some of your adjustments that you need. We talked about this last week: needs work versus wants. So something that I always do is I'll say, you know, when I'm wanting to buy something or wanting to do something, I'll say, do I need it or do I want it? Ask yourself that question with every purchase that you make. It kind of brings it, you realize how much money that you are spending basically on wants and not needs. So trimming unnecessary ones, that's where you're going to trim more on the wants side than on the needs side. So that's what you kind of look at when you're doing your budget. Because last week we were talking a general budget. Well, when you're budgeting during a crisis, you're going to look, you know, do I really need that new pair of shoes? Can I wear this other pair of shoes for a while longer, or something like that? Is there a way that I can go to a secondhand store? Do I have to buy new? You know, so just things like that. I see a lot of things on Facebook where people are just like giving things away. So if you need a new kitchen table and chairs, they just want you to come pick it up. You can have new things. We need to learn to kind of, where can we find it? You don't always have to buy new. I mean, when I was growing up, we had one of 14. I'm 11 out of 14 people. You passed it down. You gave it to your brother and sister. You didn't get new. So, you know, by the time it got down to me, sometimes I was like, man, it's pretty worn.
Can you read the needs side?
Yeah.
Read the wants side for those who cannot see it?
Certainly. So on the needs side, it's saying trim necessary ones, scale back cell phone plan, grocery expenses. Look for coupons to save extra dollars on necessities. Incorporate bartering where you can so that you can save on spending cash. On the want side, cut unnecessary spending. Take inventory of automatic payments. Even consider stop automatic payments so that you can manage every dollar. Track a log of all of your automatic subscriptions, streaming services, and games. I see that a lot in banking, where people sign up for all of these things and they don't need it. They don't need it. They wanted it. They played the games, and you could probably have the games on your phone and you don't need new ones. So a lot of those are reoccurring payments that we don't need. Okay, so that's another way that you can cut that. So you can all, and the tip is check your YouTube for other free information and sources on how to scale back costs. There are so many videos and cost-saving recipes, frugal living, for other cost-conscious lifestyles and practices. We get so much information off the internet, and I think some of us don't look. It'll have that information on how you can save money. So just thinking about those types of things is really important. And I've got some other resources that I brought here that I'll let them make copies for if they want to later. I was actually, it was in a living magazine. Then you don't have any more money to spend on whatever else that you did. So that's a good. There's other methods here. So that's just I cut this out for you guys. I saw that and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to take that with me because there's some nice ideas there. I'll have that here for them. So it's asking, how can you lower expenses? Lower your cell phone plan, most basic and least expensive. Um, I don't know how much people pay for their cell phone plans. I know I pay a substantial amount, and I don't. I started. My kids were on my cell phone plan, and so I started telling them, hey, here's your part of the bill, and I had them send it to me because I was, when it wasn't during a crisis, I was paying for it, trying to help them out, but they're working too. So I thought, everybody needs to, find out a way to save some money. Get a less expensive car. If you have two, get rid of one. Decrease your utilities to the most basic. Speak to your landlord or mortgage provider and see the payment relief is available. This is a really big one. Banks during the crisis, we were having like deferments and then we weren't charging you interest because we realized, I know at our bank, we were like pausing payments for customers, not charging them. You have to ask. If you don't ask, we're not just going to come up and say, hey, do you want to not make your mortgage payment for a few months? Go ahead. We're not going to do that. But you have to be, you have to think about that and ask that question. Same thing for credit card companies. They don't want to lose you as a customer. That's how and they were, because people weren't going out. They weren't spending money on credit. That's why everybody's like, now we're all shopping and everything. So just think about that and just ask that question. You don't know unless you ask. Lower your grocery bill by buying healthy yet less expensive food and move to drinking water. What else can we do to save money? What else can we do to cut costs? Anybody? Yeah, your drive. So she said, like, don't drive as much. Just maybe to find a way, ride with somebody. If you're going to the same place, ride share. What else? Does anybody else have any other ideas of cost cutting? Do what? Don't buy name brand. I mean, there is they're probably all come from the same spot if you think about it, and we all just want that name brand on there. But you can say that's a good cost cutting measure. Coupons, and then there's a lot of things online where you can get things, a lot cheaper if you're looking. I know that there's all kinds of clubs and things like that. I never got into that, but I know that there's things that you can get for free. So then we talk about your monthly budget, your items, the non-crisis items. So this is, and that's kind of hard for me to see, but I even have my glasses on. That's not good. Page 17. Okay. So costs to cut, things to trim and eliminate. So these are some things. Insurance, car insurance. When's the last time you've had your insurance reviewed? Same thing with your health insurance. Emergency savings. It has groceries, clothes, dates and outings. I mean, there are free things that you can do for enjoyment. I mean, we don't always have to go to something that costs money. We have beautiful parks in this area that don't cost you anything. You can go there for free. Take a picnic. Go pack a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something and just go. I will tell you, your family will remember that more than they'll remember you taking them to a restaurant. I guarantee it. So just little things like that that people will remember. Um, Cable TV is another thing that people have that it's like, you know, you can stream a lot of stuff. I mean, now you can. You don't even need that. So unless it's for the internet, then that's something that you can negotiate. There's other things there. Lessons and education. I'm not saying don't educate yourself, but there's things that you can do where you're paying extra money on lessons. How many people have asked their employer if they have a plan? I know if you're in banking, we reimburse you for your education. You don't know unless you ask. I know that there's restaurants that people work at. There's all kinds, no matter where you work. Doesn't hurt to ask. Look at your policy. There's probably benefits there. And then gifts. Um, I know last Christmas I cut back. It's not even just Christmas time. It's just birthdays and things like that. I was like amazed. I tried to find unique ways. So for Christmas, instead of buying presents, we actually donated, like we try to donate things to, we picked like families. That was a better gift. They couldn't tell you the gift I got them the year before. Ask people that. They don't, what I get you last year? They won't know. They won't remember because it wasn't meaningful. If something's meaningful, I'm going to remember it. Just thought. So some lenders involve. We talked about this. Borrows deferred payments. This means you can may not be required to make the minimum payment. Instead, the amount due will be delayed until the end of your loan. It's important to record the payments that you defer. And I know we had a program where we were just pausing them. We didn't even add it on to the end of your loan. So it was just one of those things. So if you have something that you're paying on car loan installment, we did that for all of that. And because we realized we didn't want to lose you as a customer, and we didn't want you hurting because we knew some people weren't working. So we were trying to think of unique ways to help people, and that's some of the things that we came up with. And I tried to, if people sat down with me, I tried to have them they weren't allowed inside, but if they called me, I tried to help them take advantage of all of those things. It's there if you need help. So step 2 is identifying your income, money coming in. So your regular income, you work full time, you work part time, other. Sometimes during a crisis, it can be difficult to find regular income, but we don't want you to give up. Looking for a full or part time work, I'll tell you right now, if you want a job, it's out there, and they will pay you premium. I know at the bank we're giving signing bonuses of $1,000 to come work, and paying you. Amazon's another one. So you can actually find your career the job that you want to get right now. And so you just have to take the time and look around, see what's out there. Don't be afraid to apply. Don't think I can't do it. It's out there, and people are willing to train. We hire bankers. I started out as a cashier at the grocery store, and I'm a manager of a bank. It's all in how you deal with people, how you deal with customers, how you help. That's all it's about. If I have I'd hire 10 people like that than anybody that had that. So let's look for some ideas of generating income in other ways. So even though you have, it talks about grocery stores like Kroger's and Myers, shipping delivery services. These are a few industries to look at if you're looking for money. Online learning organizations, remote meeting companies, Zoom. I don't know how many meetings that I had online. If you can do things like that, or you're comfortable with internet, you can find a job. So many people are working from home, or they started working from home. So the company started realizing, you know what? They worked well from home. I'm going to start hiring people that can work from home. Look for those companies. They're out there. People are hiring. I know Citibank. My daughter-in-law has been working from home for a year now, and they're finally saying, you know what? We don't need you to come back. You've been doing a good job being at home. So those jobs are out there. Also, reach out to your friends and family and think creatively. What do people need right now? For example, working families need childcare. Remember, there's no shame in taking a position that does not pay what you're used to making, especially during the global pandemic that we've been through. Brush up your resume. How many of you updated your resume? Yeah, me too. Because this to make it through this, what we've gone through, I can now say I can do virtual training. I can do virtual meetings. I can add those types of things to your resume. I'm proficient at that. So think outside the box, and that's what kind of this has made us do. Um, like they talked about childcare and things like that. We're going to talk about some things coming up. So creative income, childcare. Oh my gosh, if you want to deliver stuff right now, you can write your check. They will pay you. I don't even know. They'll probably start buying you a car. I don't know. Cleaning services, grocery stores. Think of when you're looking for income. Think of the things that never really closed up. With grocery stores didn't close. They might have had limited hours, but they didn't close. Virtual tutoring, and then some other things like we said, deliveries, cleaning services. There were people. We still had elderly people that needed help, and you just had to be, so it was one of those things where you couldn't go to the nursing home, and a lot of people were keeping their loved ones at home. Well, they still needed help. They were looking for help. So looking for those types of things, that's what I mean by being like creative in what you're doing. So, and you can add that into your income. So sell your possessions, sell a car, sell your electronics, have a yard sale. How many of you had a yard sale recently? You have? Did you make some good cash? Yes. She said, yes, I made some good money. There is money you can find money. And I would tell you, if I'm desperate, if I really need the cash, I guess I'm digressing, but when my husband and I were first married, we didn't have the rent. But my husband had a Reggie Jackson rookie card, and it killed him. But so I went to the card store, and the man said, "I'll give you $300 for that Reggie Jackson rookie card." And it was the Reggie Jackson rookie card, or he didn't have a place to stay. I sold the Reggie Jackson rookie card. We can get that's a thing. That's a thing. I needed a roof over my head. Everything's just a thing. You don't need it. You just want. He wanted that Reggie Jackson rookie card. He had it since he was a little boy. And he was like, why aren't we selling your stuff? I said, I don't have anything. I don't have a Reggie Jackson rookie card. So that's just kind of one of the creative things that, he didn't want to part with that, but it was just things. That's all it is. It didn't mean anything. So, and then these are some of the other creative things. Barter. It's an act of trading goods or services between two or more parties without the use of money or monetary medium. How many of you have ever traded something for something? What'd you trade? You traded a car for what? Another car. So somebody's got something you want. You could trade. You could trade. There's lots of us that do that. Just being creative and say, you put that out there. Hey, I got this. I'll trade you for this. It's perfect. The essence of bartering involves the provision of one or good service to one party in return of another good service. Another thing is, what are the skills? We all have talents. What are some of the skills that you have? My son is in heating and air conditioning. You need heat. You need like cool. You don't really need. I mean, you want it, but he did. So he's able. I mean, he works full time, but he'll go change somebody's filter for a few bucks. I mean, that kind of sustained them because That's how he got through the pandemic, because you weren't allowed in people's homes. The companies were shut down, so they weren't doing maintenance on their furnace and their air. So he had to find unique ways of earning money, making money on the side. So you see what I'm saying about that? Think about what your skills or talents. People are now looking, and we know this, looking for babysitters, looking for people to watch their children. If you can do that and you can handle that, cut grass. I've had people. I mean, I actually pay a boy right now in the neighborhood. He's cut in the middle of my backyard right now because my riding lawnmower's broken. He makes 25 bucks a week doing that. He goes from yard to yard. I watch him. I bet that kid's pulling in some cash. And that's just something that he did to make extra money. So think about what your skills are. Everybody has a talent um, that they can share with other people. So here we got talking about great. Are you a good cook? Do you sew? Think about things that you're good at. Are you good with a handyman? Can you fix things? So think. I mean, I see people all the time online, and they're selling things that they made by hand. I think it's amazing. I can't sew. I wish I could. I would love to. But you can make a fortune if you know how to alter things or whatever, and that's something that kind of goes inside with that. It's huge. Um, are you a great cook? Especially with people that are now everybody's out. You shouldn't stop just because we're all back to work now. Think about things that people would love. If you're a good cook, I have a lady up the street. She makes cheesecakes, best cheesecake you'd ever want. She sells them for 20 bucks a piece. She puts order on Facebook. She puts it out there. There's a community Facebook page where I live. She puts it out there. That lady sells out every week of those cheesecakes, and she does it on the side. She's a teacher. So think about those things. That's what we were talking about when we said talents. Everybody has a talent. Tutoring is huge. If you can help somebody that has a child who's struggling, especially with being how they were last year, that really helps the community. If you're going to sit down and you know something and you can help a child with their English, their math, on any of that, parents, I guarantee you, will be willing to pay a little bit so if you could help their child get through a rough spot. So then we talk about the regular income, creative income, and selling possessions. You want to think about what you got that's of value. That Reggie Jackson rookie card that lasted once, but don't even think I don't go through his cards. I got a Bo Jackson I'm just waiting to sell. He's got the football and the baseball one. So I know that's worth some money, right? So then you identify your budget. You determine if you're living within your means. And we talk about living within our means. You know, we waste money. We talked about this last week about going through your expenses that you have, going through what you're spending money on. How many of you went through your transactions online and looked and said, "Oh, okay, I did go out to eat." You did. You did. Okay, good. What'd you find? You spent a lot of money. What did you spend money on that you thought, I could probably cut there? Food? Okay. Did you think about something that you could maybe cut one time during the week that maybe you could save and then put that in a savings account? That's the big thing. Live by the 10% rule. That's good. That's good. So you want to pay. We talk about this paying yourself and putting it in the savings account. When you are the big thing about budgeting is when you're cutting back on something, you need to make sure you put that in that savings account right away. So we have it for the rainy day. You don't want to. You don't want to. You don't want to wait and say, you know what? Hey, I didn't go out to eat 3 times this week. That money's just sitting in that account. You know it, and then we'll find something else to spend it on. So we looked at the total expenses with your income, and then you So, and then we talk about resources. All right, the resources we have. We'll send this link to you all, but you can click here. It talks about budget in a crisis. Um, OnUp.com is a dedicated to real life content about managing your money through articles and financial tools and blogs. Um, there's just all kinds of ways. If you look things up, you can. The OnUp website is really neat. There's a podcast. There's all kinds of things. If you need help with a budget, we can help you with that. Okay. There's all kinds of tools. When even looking at these articles here that we've got, there's 3 different ideas that you could do. The one girl talks about um, the zero budget, and then another girl, and these have worked. The other one talks about making it work for you, the envelope method, and then the other one talks about the saving, paying yourself first. She always takes her paycheck automatically. She writes herself a paycheck, puts it in her savings account. She does that automatically. So these little things here kind of make it interesting and help you to create a budget for yourself. Here's another one, and this is we actually have this at thetruest.com, the coronavirus response. There's all kinds of tools and things like that in there to help people through the crisis. We talked about your bank, wherever you bank. I know that they have to have some sort of a chart or something to show how you're spending your money. So were any of you able to look at that and see if you actually had that? Did you have that? Good, good. Because I know mine has like a pie chart and it'll tell me what I'm spending. Whoa, I went out to eat a lot. It can track your expenses. It sees how much you're using your debit card on. The bank knows. So that's the best way to start. That's the best place to start to ask for help with your budgeting. Okay? The U.S. government, the Center for Disease Control, and then if you're in small business, there is a relief for them as well. So these are all the programs that we've had out there. And a lot of them are going to stay in existence because we're not done with this. We're still going through this. It says no storm can last forever. We'll get through this together. Okay, so I've got time for some questions and answers. Something else that I was going to bring up for next week, just to have this so you guys know what we're going to talk about next week. Next week we're going to talk about credit. So next, if you guys could get some questions to Pastor Gail and let her know, maybe I can answer the specific questions that you have, and that way, if there is something specific about credit reports, all of that, we can get through all of that, and then I'll make sure I get the questions answered. Same thing for the online audience. If there's a question, submit the question. I'll find the answer. We talked about that. If I don't know it, I'll find the answer for you and the correct answer. So, and I'll work with each one of you individually if I have to get you the answer that you need. Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, stay right
Okay.
here so I can get. That was some great discussion, and I was thinking when Rose was talking about the bartering, there's a colleague of mine. Someone comes. She and her husband are older. Someone comes and mows their lawn,
Mm-hmm.
and she makes cobblers. And that's all the gentleman wants. He literally comes and details the backyard so she and her husband don't have to worry about it. And in exchange, when we talk about bartering, then they get their lawn done. But I would like to hear because when we were talking about ways to make money and skills that you may have, it may not be your regular 9 to 5 job. I'd like to hear some ideas that some of you say, you know what, I can, cook cobblers. But what are some things that you might be able to do that not as a 9 to 5 job, but something that you might be able to encourage someone to say, hey, listen, I'll exchange this for that. Throw out a couple ideas.
What you got?
Oh, so you like to buy and sell cars. And so how might give us an idea, how might you be able to do something like that and to bring in extra cash? Salvage cars, okay? Uh huh. So, so salvaging someone's car, put in $1,000, and then you can be able to sell it for more. That's an excellent idea.
That is
Excellent
actually
idea.
really, that's a, right now, finding a car is really difficult. So if you have that gift, you can definitely, that's something that you can definitely make money off of, because I know like car dealerships and everything right now, they don't have any cars to sell. They're going to try to sell you new ones. And it's like, so if you have that special gift, I would totally, that's awesome. Good job.
Okay, go to Goodwill and get a salvage car. Okay. Okay, so your husband did that all the time. He would fix a car up and sell it. Excellent. Now, I gave an example of not myself, but of something that a friend of mine did. Someone else give an example. This is the audience participation part. So, someone give an example of a skill that either that you have or someone you know has that they could use that, or you could use that to get a few extra, another $100 one week. I know you can think of something. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Jasmine. Doing hair,
Oh my
excellent,
gosh, I would pay a fortune
excellent.
for your hair.
That's
I,
excellent because there are so many people who do have those skills. They
mm-hmm.
may not be licensed, but again, as a bartering, absolutely. That is an excellent thing.
We'll
What?
talk after the thing because I really do need my hair done.
Very good. And then what's one other skill that you can think of that you can do, that or you know someone has a skill? Yes, sir. Cleaning. Yes.
Gosh.
Yes. So now that's really excellent. I like how you said that cleaning is like a therapy, and for some people they find it a chore and they don't have time. But for you, it's something that you can enjoy doing. And so yes, you could offer, especially if there's someone in your community or in your family who's older, that they could give you some extra dollars.
Yes.
Because when we talk about making extra money, we're not talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, but
Right.
sometimes, how many of you know that if a person, a family, has an additional $500 a month coming in, some families that can make a whole extra
Can make a big difference.
big difference. Just an extra $500 in one month. That's like what, $100 a week,
Think,
depending on how long the month
think
is.
about what you could do for $500.
Exactly.
Think about what you
Exactly.
could buy.
Yes, Pastor. And for those that are online, he said, utilizing your community. Oh, yes. So he's talking about one of our members who could cook
That's
very
awesome.
well, and how we purchased some little mason jar cobblers or cheesecakes or something. Again, perfect way to make some additional funds. Yes.
Yep.
So he's saying it's important to communicate with those in your community or even in your family, even in your church, because you don't know the resources that are right there that could help you or be a help to other people. That is excellent, Pastor. So he's talking about the importance of checking where you're spending your money because one location can have cheaper prices in another location. And Rose talked very much about look at what you are doing and do research on yourself. You can actually save yourself, as Rose shared earlier, and that's what the pastor is expressing. There's another one that's sort of hard to be related to a pastor. You know, that woman right there, she won't buy nothing unless she really has to. She will drive a car until it's on 1.5 wheels. That's just our pushing. She had these pair of shoes, and they just broke the other day. On Sunday, they broke on Sunday. Oh, how long I don't need those shoes. That's her. I don't need those shoes until they break down, and then she go get the stuff. So he's talking about the needs versus wants that we were talking about earlier. That sometimes we're just used to having certain things, but we don't think of the difference that Rose was sharing, the difference between actual need and actual want. And then sometimes we have to look at what we have and say, do I really need this? Some of us who travel to Jamaica for our mission trip, you know, some people would say, okay, you're going to Jamaica for a week and a half, you know, and they'll be ready to pull 2 suitcases. But if you really think about it, you really don't need a lot. And so if we've learned that when we travel with our mission trips, we each take one little carry-on bag that goes on the plane. Because if you think about it, you don't really need a lot. It's hot in Jamaica. And you can, you know, purchase your toothpaste or your lotion when you get there. But there's a difference in your mind between needs and wants. Any other questions for Rose? Mm-hmm. Right. Now she's talking about how oftentimes when we look at what we are eating, sometimes we get in the habit too often for convenience of going out to eat. And she's saying that sometimes we might need to take a look at even packing our lunch instead of going out for lunch, but taking a lunch and all those little things help save a little bit of extra money. Can I co-sign on that? Yes, sir. Big co-sign. True story. And y'all know I'm telling the truth because you've done the same thing. I went to Kroger's. I bought this full pack of hamburgers. Come closer so they can hear. $8. Okay. Now I've only used. No, not wait. I ate a lot. Only used cut 2 portions and used it. I started thinking for that $8 a hamburger that I can get, I don't know how many meals out of it. Some people spend $8 on one sandwich from Wendy's. So y'all know I'm telling the truth. So the pastor brings up $8. You know, for one sandwich as opposed to $8 for several meals. So the pastor is bringing up a very good point that you can go to the store and he's saying you buy $8 for a tube of hamburger and then you can get several meals out of one tube of hamburger, but you go to a restaurant and for one hamburger you're spending almost the same amount as an entire tube. So bottom line is, Rose is telling us we need to do a little bit more thinking and a little bit more being honest with ourselves. There's another one that Sister Rose identified. Now this is being real honest. I love her because how honest she's been. She said, sometimes I'm paraphrasing, you have to have some insanity money. Every now, you can't just cut it to the bone, beneath the bone, and think you're going to stay sane. So every now and then, you may have to budget yourself. Oh, we're going to look at that movie on Netflix tonight. Or we're going to go, let's go to Wendy's. Or do what these people did. Pastor Gail used to do these trips. You know what people did? They were doing themselves. They got dressed up and went to Walmart. That's what they did. But it's insanity money. So you have to be able to budget something like that. Put on the side. I think Sister Rose said, pay yourself. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Put some money aside for yourself. It's not real to think that you're not going to do something. Right. Just pastor is emphasizing the importance of what Rose shared earlier about making sure, this was our lesson last week,
Mm-hmm.
about making sure that we put aside some money for yourself. I think Rose referred to it as 10%.
Mm-hmm.
10% money. And so we know we give 10% to our church, but also set aside 10% for yourself so that you can have the ability to say, this is what I can spend for myself, but then also have discipline. That's the hard part
Mm-hmm.
that some people have. But again, when we're talking about today, budgeting during a crisis, one of the things that sometimes that we miss with ourselves is having a discipline for ourselves and recognizing again the difference between needs versus wants, and then also having the discipline to say, okay, I've reached my point, and so therefore I won't go over, and knowing the difference between the true emergency and also of something I just really want. And so, okay, researching online. Yes. Yes. Right. That's very good. Very good. And that is so important. I like what you were talking about, the importance of what Rose was saying about researching. Go ahead, Rose.
Yep. I was just along those lines. My daughter was just, they had went on vacation, and if you know, right now there are no rental, like you can't find a rental car. You can't. She looked online and she found people in that area were renting their cars for
Yeah.
not. I mean, so she got a car rented for the week. It was nothing. It was nothing because those people were like, "Hey, this is my way of making money. Somebody's in town. They're not going to find a rental car. Let me advertise. I'll let you drive my car." They have to have insurance, of course, and you. That's all they did was verify her insurance, verify she had a valid driver's license. I'm sure her. It's so it's not like an all time business, but that's something that that person's doing right now to make money, extra money. She couldn't even believe it. She said, "I didn't know that that was out there." I don't know what it was called. She said she found it online.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So there's,
Excellent. Excellent. There are so many things that you can do, considering we have what Uber and considering we have Airbnbs.
yep.
I really continue to emphasize things. There are some skills or some things that you can do, whether while you're sitting at home making phone calls for people. There are certain things that you can do where you can help get a little bit of extra cash for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, as Rose was saying. But before we close out, Rose, I'd like to do like we did last week.
Okay.
Let's go around and ask each person to say just one thing, real quick, like popcorn. No long, drawn out dissertation. But what's the one thing that you picked up from today? Something that you learned, or something you understand better? What is something that you picked up today? Cynthia, let's start with you.
The Here's the most important thing that just happened in this session right here and in last session. It got you thinking. Let me say that again. It got us thinking about some stuff. And notice where the thinking is occurring. Right here in the house of the Lord. That's what the house of the Lord is designed to do. I'm just being very honest with you. It's supposed to get you to think. Now, so often, here's what we do. Would you have my Bible up underneath there? Right there. Here's what we do. We take this and then we only bring it out for Sunday. Or when the preacher's coming over to eat some of your fried chicken. The only time we deal with it. When, in effect, what God identifies, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. We're inefficient. Most of what she said, the principles, are found right here in the Bible. Right here. Let me take it a step further. He says, he's talking to his people. You cats, you go, you work, you put your money away, and it's like you're putting it in a bag with holes because you aren't managing it correctly. Now, I am never going to tell you that what you have, you don't have anything. I'm not going to say that. What I will tell you is that there's some things that all of us have we can do better on.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Am I right? Come on. Am I right?
Yes, yes, yes.
We're learning how to do better with what God has given us. Now, check this out. She can't say it, I understand. She can't. But I can say it. God identifies, here's your budget. He says, first thing you do, I love that 10% you brought out. That was powerful. First thing is you give to God, that's a bill. Just like your gas and electric. And then what he identifies, he says, I love how you put, I really do. She said, go back and track your budget. He says, go back and track it and see if it doesn't work. He uses ancient language, but it's the same thing. He says, prove me now and see if I won't open up the windows of heaven and pour you out blessings.
All right.
You don't have room to receive.
All right, all right. All right.
See, part of the tithing is this. It's based on a budgeting concept and discipline. Say, give God first, okay? He said, now he's getting you into the idea of budgeting. And then if you get that foundation, he's going to allow you, because your mind is right now, to budget your other stuff right. He's going to allow you to put first things first. So I may not, I don't have to go to Michael Jordan's store to get me a pair of Air Jordans. You know where I got mine at? Walmart. Cost me $12. I was proud of them. My youngest son laughed at me. But it had the Jordan symbol on it and all that. And my feet were dry. Okay? And when they finally tore up, I was able to go get some more. And I did. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? God is letting me see that every dollar that comes in my pocket, guess what? It's precious. It's precious. And he said, quit taking that money and just throwing it away.
Yes, yes.
Just throwing it away. And he gets upset. He didn't just sit back with a cigar in his mouth or a pipe. Oh, my people destroyed. God was upset because we are killing ourselves and making ourselves ineffective.
Yeah.
So let me look at each of you. You can do more.
Thank you, Jesus.
You can do more.
Thank you, Jesus.
You can do more. By the way, if your church ain't telling you this, your church ain't telling you something right. You can do more. You can do more. Yes, you can. You can do more. You can do more. Look over there on that wall. It says, God has more for you, so you can do more for yourself. So God wants you in a position where you can build your mama 2 houses. Your mama said, I don't want no more houses. But that's okay, mama. You know. God wants you in a position where you can, instead of buying and just trading cars, you're going to do that on the side anyhow. So, how about a car dealership? You can do it on a whole nother level.
All right now.
On a whole nother level.
All right now.
What you talking about? He says, and I will give you witty ideas.
Yeah.
So you can create wealth.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
You can do it. But it first starts here. I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It means it's a big deal that you came here and you gave to the people of God. Now watch God do something and do something for you.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Because you're in need of something. I feel it. You're in need, and God's going to do something for you because you took out of your time to come and give to the people of God. Right. Can we give God a hand clap and give this young man a hand clap?
Yeah.
So next week is credit, right?
Yep.
Credit. Credit. You buy a house for $100,000 in 30 years, you've already paid maybe close to $500,000. Credit. Or wait a minute. Bishop Nichols used to say, okay, you're dating this girl, that's cool. Young people do young people stuff. Okay, but do the Dick Tracy. Young people, y'all know what Dick Tracy is. I know we know who Dick Tracy is. In other words, find out about them. What's your credit score? If your credit score is negative, baby, we can't afford to get together. Not till you get your credit score together. In other words, not till you discipline yourself to handle the money. Can I be open and honest with you? I manage millions of dollars for the city of Cincinnati. I could not budget our money. We didn't make millions of dollars. I kept on, I'm the man. I'm the man. Puff my chest out and all that. Okay? And every month, we kept on coming up empty. No, that's a lie. We came in deficit until I realized that's not my forte. I gave it to my wife to budget, and she put us on a budget. And even today, we use some version of that, what do you call it, the envelope thing.
The envelope method.
You know what she did? You know what she did to be sure to be straight? True story. True story. And I may not even have it in my wallet. Well, no, I do have one in my wallet. In order to save us money, to keep us on budget, she'll go out and she will get these gift cards. This card is for groceries. It only has this much money on it. Okay, so you can only buy groceries and gas on this. By the way, she got it from Kroger's because that also adds to our Kroger points. And I said, okay. So when we know we get to the end of this card, I'm not gonna let her starve. But no, I gotta do better. If I don't spend up all the grocery money on plate stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we have these cards set up like that to keep us on budget. Can I take it a step further? The church does a budget. I go through it every month. She goes through it every week. We're look at the income and the expenses so we know how to budget the money in the church. She said to me the other day, I was going to go and buy another tripod. Don't buy nothing else. You laughing at the truth. Sister Carol, she said it to me. Said, you don't need to go buy no tripod. I went and tried to figure out how to fix this tripod. Okay? So this budgeting thing is a God thing.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Whether she realized it or not, and this was God's servant that he sent to teach us about budget.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, somebody.
Yeah.
Spread the word, because this credit thing, how you deal with that money, that credit, that's a deep thing. Okay? And if you mess up your credit, it sticks with you for a little while. And you can't afford to do some stuff.
Yeah.
So between now and then, think about credit. Think about your whatever question you have. Don't wait to get here. Write it down or record it. They record on phone now. Do whatever you have to. And when you get here, as I said last week, fire her up with the question. If she can't answer the question, she know where to go to get an answer. And if she ain't gonna go get an answer, run her up out of here. She don't need to be here anyhow. That's what she's here for, to take care of you. So write your questions down about credit. Well, what you want to be there? Go back there. Go. Go. I love you. You know I love you, but we don't gonna run around like that. We love on our babies. We love on them enough to discipline them in love. Because that could have been that child running out through the street, and I'm too scared to say something. Okay, y'all got any last questions, comments?
Just remind everyone to send in their questions to you.
Please, send in questions. If you can think of questions beforehand, you can also send them to Pastor Gail, okay? If you haven't thought about sending to Pastor Gail, write them down, but get it, all right? Next week, same time, same place. 6 o'clock, right here.